Hunter children to do this year the Queen Quet head pon the body of this year Gullah Geechee Nation. Coming to Hunter one more again for this year Gullah Geechee TV Nation News Station. Me so glad that Hunter children to tune in with me right here upon me on home, St. Helena Island, South Kakalaki. Now plenty of time when Hunter children they greet me out John and things like that, Hunter say, well, maybe they're down there. Or man, we know if me they down there in the Gullah Geechee Nation. But me know maybe come to this your school one time or this your museum, and then Hunter children know the name half the time and things like that. Or every now and then Hunter start for right and remember say you've been the Penn. Well, for sure, this year the Penn. And for plenty of people who are not aware of it, we are standing on the campus of Penn Center Incorporated, which was actually Penn School, which is celebrating its 150th year of existence. Now, I know many of you remember that in 2011, we celebrated the 150th commemoration of the beginning of the U.S. Civil War. Well, 1 year after that, here came missionaries from the American Missionary Association into the Port Royal region, Beaufort County, South Carolina. One of the things that they did was to start up schools for who later became called freedmen, and that applied to men and women, girls and boys, people of African descent who had previously been enslaved during chattel enslavement, but now were being called contraband during the Civil War, and then those who now were becoming emancipated by the Emancipation Proclamation after 1863 started being called freedmen, whether you are male or a female. So when the missionaries came in, we had Laura Town and Ellen Murray, who first came into this area from the New England region, who were Anglo women. Later came Charlotte Fortin, who was the first African-American missionary that came into the area to help with the schools for the freedmen. So Penn School became the first trade, agricultural, and normal school for freedmen in America. So this 150th commemoration of Penn has mixed celebration in it and mixed pain in it for Gullah Geechees, because education was one thing, but miseducation was another. And under the hands of missionaries who ain't been never yet the people that crack your teeth like this or anything like that, people suffered a lot of corporal punishment and demands upon them to assimilate into mainstream America and mainstream American ways of speaking and behaving. So many of our elders that attended this school, my father is a graduate of this school along with many other family members, and my mother attended this school as well, tell of the things that they had to endure going to this school. And that's why many people who are graduates of missionary schools like Dorchester Academy, Penn Center, Mather School here in the Gullah Geechee Nation cannot speak Gullah, but they understand it when you speak it to them. They still know the words, but they were actually literally beat out of speaking their own language. So then many years after re-educating the boards of directors, re-educating the various directors at this institution, we finally got them to recognize that actually when those missionaries came in, they came into an area that was already rich with knowledge, rich with culture, and people were already educated in their own way, in their own African traditions, with the Igbo, Mandinka, Malinke, Yoruba, Gullah, Geechee, Mendi, Temni, Fiki, Bibio people that were here on historic St. Helena Island. Something else I need you to know. This is the museum of Penn Center. This is the Cope building, where shoelasting was taught when this was an active school. And this was an active campus until the 1950s. Then in the 1950s and 60s, we start entering into an era that now people refer to as civil rights to get desegregation, because we were already in segregation after Reconstruction and Jim Crow. And so you had Dr. Martin Luther King, Reverend Ralph Abernathy, God bless the dead, and people like Jesse Jackson, even Stokely Carmichael, God rest his soul, that later became known as Kwame Ture, that came here for meetings of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. They all could meet here on historic St. Helena during the Civil Rights era, because the Ku Klux Klan has never ridden on St. Helena, and they were able to have a lot of intergenerational, interracial gatherings here safely without the same threat that they had when going into the Deep South that many of you read about and that many films have been done about in terms of Alabama and Mississippi and all these places. But South Carolina and this place, St. Helena Island, and in particular where we stand, is not often in your storybooks because his story tells it differently and wanted to wipe out that South Carolina had any involvement in the civil rights movement. But this institution did. And at that time, here was a changing of the guard from people who would run the institution who were Anglo to shifting to people who were of African descent running the institution. But as I grew up here on St. Helena Island, we had the people who attended this school who were the ones who used to meet and greet you and take you around, and that's how I learned every building on the campus, what had gone on in these buildings from the early 1900s all the way up to the time of the 50s when they shut this down as a school and the public school system took over. This was not a college. Remember, it was a trade, agricultural, and normal school. Really a grade school level that also provided technical training like technical colleges do today. And here in Beaufort County, many times you've already seen me on this broadcast at the Technical College of the Low Country, which was where Mather School was, another AMA school, American Missionary Association school. So that's why I say to you, we have a mixed energy in the Gullah Geechee Nation about celebrating these 150th years and these commemorations. We acknowledge them and we commemorate them, but at the same time there's a lot of pain because our people had to endure a lot of suffering to even get these institutions to recognize that when we've been a crack, we teach like this show, and me and say we've been a cracky and thing like that, and me and say everybody been the need for a true way who he been done and who God make them for be, but they had the need to stand up and learn their own story. So even now, in terms of black history, don't ever let anyone deny that St. Helena Island, which is where Penn Center is on and there's one institution on it, one museum on it, that this was not a significant place in terms of the connection of people of all different kinds from around the world, and it still is. Annually in November, we have the Heritage Day celebration that started out as a celebration of the heritage of this as a school that has now become more of a celebration of the culture and the people of the island and a homecoming for the people of the island. So definitely you can always get in touch with the Gullah Geechee Sea Island Coalition and we'll give you more details, and you know that we've been bringing people here to the island and to that celebration and many others since the beginning of it all. I was the first artist to present and perform at any Heritage Day. And so definitely when I tell you I know what I talk about and I tell Hunter why I think, I tell Hunter why I know, it's a true thing, yeah. So I'm so glad but tell all the children who graduate from Penn School, take it, for hold on to who another and hold upon your culture and forget on standing but who we do and how we been the crack we keep like that show, and for on stand for learning children. But what is your institution been and what it need for be going into the future? So in the other rest of time, nobody get licked again, but being who he does and who God make them and make it tongue for cracky teach us like this year. I'm so glad for dear and 150 years later, on behalf of my ancestors, them who were just going to the Rosenwald schools and the other Negro schoolhouses around the area, I'm so glad that Hunter who upon your culture, even when Hunter family couldn't afford for sending you to Penn School. So I'm so glad that Hunter tuned into this year episode of Gullah Geechee TV Nation News so that Hunter children know that this year there was going on.